Today we're going to be going over my top 10 summer designer fragrances for 2025. It's basically time. It's almost here. It's warming up a lot, and if it's not quite there for you yet, at least you can kind of get ahead of the game and start getting some new scents into your collection just in time. This is one of my favorite times of year. I just love the warm weather, and I love the fragrances that kind of go along with it. You know, I love my warm, like sweet, dark fragrances for winter, but I also like to throw on something fresh too. It's just uplifting. Now, this first one at number 10 is John Varvatos Artisan Blue. This one's got basil, bergamot, pine, and a whole bunch of other notes, citruses, and things like that. I find a lot of these older artisan scents to be very unique. This is a different era for sure. They don't really make them like this anymore, but you can still get a few of them anyway. I think this is one that you can still pick up. Artisan Aqua you can still get. I do have a few that are discontinued though, but it's definitely worth grabbing these while you have the availability because, man, these are really, really good. Kind of green, fresh, bright, just uplifting. It's perfect for summertime. The main downfall with these generally is the performance. You know, they're not the strongest, but if you can get past that and kind of like it for what it is, which is just a high quality, unique style of scent, maybe you got to spray on a little bit extra, no big deal. Definitely something to check out here at number 10. I like this stuff a lot, but this list is strong. As we go on, it got harder and harder for me to rank these, so it'll be kind of interesting to see how that plays out. Number 9, we'll go with kind of another more affordable option here. It is Missoni Wave. So you could go for this or Versace Pour Homme, Chanel Allure Homme Sport. They're all kind of the same. The main differences are going to be price and somewhat smell. This is like a mixture between the Versace and the Chanel. The Versace's brighter, the Chanel is a little bit creamier. Take your pick. But this one, again, it kind of combines the best of both worlds, but offers it to you at around $40, more in line with the Versace pricing, whereas the Chanel is up over $100. Another nice, bright, fresh, citrusy, musky scent. It doesn't really need to be described because basically everybody knows what Versace Pour Homme smells like, and this is basically that. What I do like about this, though, is the fact that it's so incredibly versatile. And same with the others. It just, you can't mess them up. Dressed up, dressed down, night out, daytime, school, work, grocery shopping, whatever the situation is, this will work with no question. And so ultimately, if you want like an everyday wear, something you can lean on and not have to worry about, Missoni Wave is definitely an option for you. This next one is Toomey Awaken. Really like this stuff. I really like the bottles too. I like a lot of their scents actually. This one here is going to be more summer oriented. They do have a few that are sweeter. A Continuum is a fantastic tobacco scent. I've talked a lot about 19 Degree, which it probably could be in this video, I guess, but it's a little bit sweeter. You know, it has that raspberry leather thing going on. Maybe a summer evening would be appropriate, but I do find this one to be maybe a better, more common choice for your usual summer scent, which is why I included this one as well. You'll find when you spray this one that it does smell similar, and some might say that it has a kind of like that YSL-Y DNA going on, just, and even like Ralph's Club, essentially that sage, aromatic, ambroxany, fruity type of thing. And I would agree it does have some of that. It's not a replica of Y or a replica of Ralph's Club. It still is kind of its own thing, but you could definitely say that it is heavily inspired by that style of scent, which is pretty common these days. I don't really take too much of an issue with that, especially now that these are on discounters for a really reasonable price. You get a lot of bang for your buck, right? It's just, you get decent performance, real nice, custom, unique, and pretty cool presentation with a cool, like, metal cap. Just how the mechanism works is pretty neat. It has that kind of standout factor that a lot of people are looking for in a presentation. And then ultimately just compliment factor is through the roof. You know, this is a designer brand that is going to capitalize on that because, well, they're kind of focused on gaining one thing, and that is just a bunch of sales, right? And so they can kind of see what works from other brands and then go along with that. And you'll see them take inspiration with some of their other scents as well a little bit, but them adding their own twist to it, which ultimately is kind of what everybody does these days. And number 7 we have Bulgari Aquamarine. You know, you just don't hear about these that much. What do I think happened? I think the death of Aqua Atlantique kind of brought some of these out of the spotlight. That was a big mistake, discontinuing that one, in my opinion. They shouldn't have. I think it was wonderful. Now, we don't know what was going on behind the scenes there. Maybe sales were just horrendous, which I find hard to believe. I mean, you're keeping Aquamarine, but you discontinue that one. That's strange, but whatever. You can't change that. But Aquamarine is one that you can still get. The original Aqua is one that you can still get. This one's got grapefruit, seaweed, watery notes or sea notes. It is salty, fresh, citrusy, fruity, strong, and green from that seaweed note. It is a very realistic marine scent that might catch you off guard if you're not fully sure what to expect, because this isn't like your usual aquatic scent. Again, it is very realistic. And so it almost would have made more sense if this or even the original were discontinued. But Aqua Atlantique was more of a blue fragrance style, kind of a bit of Dylan Blue, a little bit of Sauvage, and then a real strong saltiness that was present in the Bulgari Aquas, all mixed together. It was a great release. But Marine is still a fantastic one as well. And it's a bit lighter and fresher than the original Bulgari Aqua. And they're both great for summer. They're both aquas. But this one might even be a bit easier to pull off. And, of course, love it or hate it, the bottle is neat. As far as storage goes, they are a nightmare because they sit like this, okay? And it just takes up a whole bunch of room and it doesn't stand up, so it kind of gets lost. Now they did come with a plastic stand where you could actually stand it up like this. That wasn't always the case, and it still kind of got in the way. But what I do like, though, is the color. They just look cool. They look cool on pictures. They look cool when you're holding them. Storage-wise is a nightmare. I'm going to give this one a spray just because I want to. It's just fresh, potent, strong, oceanic. That's great for a day on the beach, really. It's simple as that. Let's go for number 6. This is going to be a cheapie here. You're typically looking at $20, $25, and a lot of discount rack stores carry this as well. It is First Instinct by Abercrombie & Fitch. I love the Extreme as well. This one is going to be more summery, the Eau de Toilette. Of course, the Extreme works in summertime, but I like the brighter melon, black pepper, sandalwood accord. Obviously, those last two aren't really bright notes, but the melon is, and it smells wonderful. It is highly underutilized in men's fragrances. You just don't see it all that often. But when you do, it stands out, and that's what I love about it. You pick up on it immediately. There's no hiding it. I've talked about Carolina Herrera Chic quite a bit, which has watermelon and then some black pepper and some woods. It's kind of like a more mature version of this, and same thing there. Just that watermelon note, it stands out. You can't miss it. It's really, really nice. But overall for summertime, I'm going First Instinct. The playful brightness of this one is really conducive for a hot summer day. Now keep in mind that this is going to be more younger smelling. At the end of the day, well, it is an Abercrombie & Fitch, and they're probably selling a lot of these in the Abercrombie & Fitch stores. And who goes in those stores? Probably mostly teenagers, right? And so that's kind of your marketing right there. It's kind of written on the wall. However, if you like how it smells, there's no reason why you can't wear it. And I like how it smells, and so I wear it. Okay, now let's break into the top 5. This is really where it started to get interesting. And like I usually say with a lot of these list videos, typically when you get to the top 5 and even the top 3, the order is less important. Like number 5 and number 3 could be interchanged depending on just how I'm feeling in that particular time of time period in the summer, right? And there might be phases where I'm really going for one, and then there might be a phase later on in summer where I'm going for another. So they can change a bit. But ultimately, if they made it in this video, they're good. And if they made it into the top 5 and top 3, they are really good. Okay, so number 5 is YSL Le Parfum, and this is the 2025 version. I have never really been a big fan of the original Le Parfum. It's not that I haven't liked it. I guess I should rephrase that. I haven't really ever felt a gravitational pull towards it. Whenever I'm thinking YSL is something I want to wear, it was usually always the Eau de Parfum, and more recently the Eau de Parfum Intense. One or those two. Now, Eau Fraiche every now and then, yes, for a really hot day, I would throw that one on. The Eau de Toilette, wouldn't really wear it a ton. And even live, I never really reached for it a ton either. It was basically the Eau de Parfum and Eau de Parfum Intense when that did come out. The Le Parfum never really made a whole lot of sense because it smelled very, very close to the Eau de Parfum and was actually a little bit weaker. So it just didn't really have a fit for me. But this 2025 came out, and looking at the note breakdown, you can clearly see a difference, right? There's a very, very clear difference in the notes compared to the original, but I didn't know if that was going to be the case or not. Start smelling this one, and I realized that they are very different. What's the difference? Well, this 2025 version has this focus on pine needles, kind of pine tree smell. It is woody. It's a little bit more earthy. Now, it still does have some of that kind of amberwood blue style going on that a lot of these have, but it is subdued a little bit, and you are getting some of the aromatics that also exist in the others, but you're not getting all of that sweet apple fruitiness like you get in a lot of the others. I see this one as being very similar to the Eau de Parfum Intense, where it lacks the sweet fruitiness, focuses more on the aromatics. But the difference between those two now, as I mentioned, is the pine, kind of that earthy pine needles green smell. It is definitely more of a traditionally masculine smelling scent rather than being just overly sweet like we're kind of used to, which is why I love this stuff. And I think it's great for summer, even though Le Parfum doesn't sound like it. It's definitely not a winter scent, I can tell you that. So warmer summer days, there's no reason why you couldn't wear this one. At number 4, okay, we have Acqua di Gio Parfum. I know everybody's going to say, no, it should be Profondo. Well, remember, this is highly subjective. This is the most subjective hobby out there. There's very few that are left to facts, very little factual conversations, unless you're talking about the actual perfumery process and synthesizing the fragrances and stuff. Over on that side of things, yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff that you have to really stay on top of. But when you're talking about, hey, I like the smell of this, and I like the smell of this, and you like the smell of this, that's just all personal preference. And so for me, Acqua di Gio Profumo has always been my go-to summer scent. This was back before Profondo was out, years and years before it. And even now that I have Profondo, I still typically wear Profumo Parfum more. Now, of course, I'm going to wear Profondo here and there. I'm just not going to feature 2 Acqua di Gios in the list just for sake of redundancy. So yeah, I'm definitely going to wear that. I'm just going to wear this more. It does have kind of that smoky aquatic thing going on that made Profumo famous. This is the same thing basically. And I just view it more as a summer evening scent. Daytime, it'll be Profondo. It'll be other things in this list most likely. But summer evenings, when things are kind of starting to cool off a bit, I'm going Acqua di Gio Parfum. And the great thing about it is you can layer them. If you wake up in the morning and you got some things to do, throw on Profondo, nice sunny day. You get to about 5 o'clock and you got some dinner plans coming up. It's going to be nice outside, cooling off. Spray Parfum over the top of it, Profumo, whichever you have. Now you're set, right? It just, that smoky aquatic smell that it has makes it so addicting, so alluring. I just love it. And this is a little bit low. You're going to see what we got coming up here. At number 3, an oldie but a goodie, as they say. One that probably will never go out of style. It is Dior Homme Cologne. This, I think it would just be impossible for this to smell dated. I can't see it. Why is that? Because there's so little to it. Just to be, realistic, there's hardly anything. There's 3 notes, and I believe it. This was back before it was common to only give you 3 notes like they do now. This was years and years ago. It's essentially a musk, like a grapefruit blossom, and then bergamot. I think are the 3. There's 3, and I can't even remember them. Sure, it's either an orange blossom or a grapefruit blossom, and then a bergamot and a musk. Okay, something along those lines. But when you smell this, one thing that you actually pick up on is lemon, almost like lemonade. That's how I describe this. Now, I'm sure I didn't make this up, but I've thought this and said this for years on the channel. It smells like a ice cold glass of sweetened lemonade, because it does have a bit of a sweetness to it as well. Crisp, bright, fresh. Think of a summer morning sitting out on the front porch drinking a glass of lemonade. It doesn't get much better than this. One of the big things when it comes to summer scents is them smelling, cloying or too sweet when it's hot outside. Really, really hot, humid August. This will never do that. It's just so bright, so refreshing that it's never really going to be a problem. Okay, at number 2, this one's really good, and it's back. I talked about it. It is Les Beaux Flower Edition. Now, I understand my bottle probably looks a little bit different than yours because it is empty. But the point is still there. This is, in fact, Les Beaux Flower Edition. There's the flower. They don't look all that cool when they're empty, okay? So if you don't know what they look like, look up a picture. The coloration is obviously all in the liquid itself. They look really cool. Same thing with Paradise Garden. Now, because this is in here, Paradise Garden is not. That doesn't mean that I don't like Paradise Garden. At this point, I like this better. And I was not at all expecting that. When I saw the name, I'm not a big floral fan, so I didn't think I was going to like it at all. But I tried it. Turned out to be amazing. There is something about this, and I don't know what it is, but it has this real nice, fizzy, bubbly, kind of semi-sweet opening. But I find it to be even fresher than Paradise Garden. So that's kind of the other thing I was getting at here. Paradise Garden has the green notes and the mint and still some of that kind of tonka bean, pineapple thing going on. It's got that. But this one doesn't as much. It's even fresher than that. And so I find it to be a true summer edition, kind of bubbly, sweet, and playful. And it smells wonderful. It's back on the official website now, johnpaulgaultier.com, for retail, which I believe is $146. So not really cheap, but it's also 125 ml. Discounter-wise, it's sold out currently. I'm sure that'll change coming up now that it's kind of getting back into production here. And then at that point, it should be hopefully around, 100 or so, maybe 105, 110. I think this stuff is wonderful. Worlds better than I thought it was going to be. And at number 2, for a new release, it's got to be good to feature it there, and it definitely is. Nice performer, great compliment getter, just fun and easygoing. It is what I look for in a summer scent. Okay, we're going to finish this off with number 1. Going all the way back in time to 2015, 2016 with this stuff, and that's really when I got started. Well, it was very, very beginning of 2017, maybe very tail end of 2016, but I was right in that time period is when I first started collecting. And so this scent was buzzing like crazy, especially as when you got into the summer season, summer of 2017, it was a big one. Invictus Aqua, but it's 2024. So they did, in fact, bring it back. This is the 2024. So the differences are going to be, you have the Rabanne logo engraved on the top, and it just says Rabanne instead of Paco Rabanne, okay? And obviously, it's pretty easy to distinguish, Invictus Aqua versus the others, because this has frosted glass, and, the other Invictus fragrances do not, unless it's Invictus Aqua 2016. So Invictus Aqua 2024, it smells basically exactly like Invictus Aqua 2016. I have a bottle of Invictus Aqua 2016 right here, and I don't know, they look a little bit different. This looks a little bit darker, but I don't know if it's just because maybe it's a little bit older and the glass is kind of faded because it is old. But this one you can see it says Paco Rabanne, okay? And there's no engraving on the top. 2016, 2024. I could spray them both and smell them both, but I know already how they are, and so they're basically identical. And I've been wearing this stuff a ton already, and it didn't take me long to get there. As soon as we started to get some of them warm, sunny days, I was tossing on Aqua 2024 whenever I had the opportunity. In fact, I'm probably going to go ahead and wear it today. This stuff is amazing, and I'm sure, well, in fact, I think they said this. I think it was released as a limited edition. Could be wrong. Maybe I'm confusing that with something else, but I don't foresee this being around forever just because none of the others have either. So If this is something that you like the smell of, I would pick up a good couple of bottles to stash away, okay? If you end up feeling like it was a waste of money down the road, sell them. You can get your money back and then some easily, because there's always a market for the hard to find stuff when they do get hard to find. So if you like it, pick some up. I know I'm going to. Even though I've got a small stash of Aqua 2016, I want some of this too. At least this will last longer, because the 2016 is from, 2016, 2017, 2018 era. And these will at least be newer to hopefully last a bit longer as far as going bad. Alrighty guys, that's gonna do it for me. My top 10 summer designer fragrances for 2025. I'm gonna be wearing the heck out of these coming up. Already have been a couple. Invictus Aqua. Tossed on a lot of the Wailea Parfum 2025 because I've been digging it. So as things continue to move in that direction, I'm gonna be going into these heavily. Let me know down below, what are some of your favorite summer scents, the ones that you're gonna be wearing, designers, or it could be niche as well. Just let me know. I'm gonna have links to all these down below as well if you're wanting to pick any up. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll see you tomorrow with another one. Take care.